Hey crocheters, this is Shannon with Dogwood Crochet, and today I'm going to show you how to make these granny plant baskets to store your plants in. So the full written pattern will be linked in the description box. It's available on my Etsy shop, and I hope you enjoy this video. So to get started, you're going to need an 8mm crochet hook and some medium worsted weight yarn. I'm using Furls Wander acrylic yarn, and I'm using a bunch of different colors, so I will list the names of the colors in the description box below. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to start out by crocheting with 3 strands of yarn, and I'm just going to be using 1 skein of yarn. So I'll show you how to make 3 strands from just 1 skein. So we want to take our yarn and make this Z shape like this. You can make it longer or shorter if you want. And then we're going to take the end that has our tail, and we're just going to pinch it like this and hold these together as if they're 1 strand. Now we're going to start by making a magic circle. So I'm going to hold this 1 strand around my index finger and wrap it around twice. So here's my yarn tail that we started with. So now I should have these 3 loops on my index finger, and then I'm going to take my hook and place it under all 3 loops. Grab this last strand and pull it under the other 2. Just like that. And that's our magic circle. Then we're going to chain 2. And now we're going to place 8 half double crochet into the circle. So when we're working with this triple stranded method, you're going to come up on running out of this 3-stranded thing. You're going to have this loop here. So what you want to do is take your working yarn and pull it through that loop like this, and then you'll see that creates another triple strand. So it just is extending that triple strand even more. So that's how to continue working that triple strand when you start to run out. So we have our magic circle here, and we're going to place 8 half double crochet into the circle. And I'm starting to run out here, so again, I'm just going to pull this working strand through this loop here. Okay, I think that was 6. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, so 2 more to go. And 8. All right, so now we just placed 8 half double crochet into our circle. This is essentially our 1 yarn tail, so we're going to pull on all 3 of these until 1 set of these 3 starts to tighten. So see, we can see these 3 starting to tighten here. Then I'm just going to grab onto those and pull those to close, to tighten this set. Okay, so now we see that that closed, we have these left, and then our tails. Going to pull on the tails, and that'll tighten those up. All right, so that's 8 stitches in our first round. Now we're going to slip stitch to join to the first stitch of the round. And then we're going to chain 2. Now we're going to place 2 half double crochets into each stitch of the round. So we had 8 stitches at the end of round 1, and we should have 16 stitches at the end of round 2. And our chain 2 at the beginning of the round does not count as a stitch. So we'll just keep repeating this all the way around. 2 half double crochets in each stitch. So we'll have 16 stitches at the end of round 2. All right, so I'm finishing up round 2. I have 16 stitches, and then I'm going to slip stitch to join to the first stitch of the round, and then chain 2. So now what we're going to do for round 3 is we're going to place 1 half double crochet into our first stitch, and then we'll place 2 half double crochets into our next stitch. And we just repeat this around. So the next one we'll place 1 half double crochet, and then the following stitch we will place an increase or 2 half double crochets into that same stitch. Oh man, okay. All right, and so we just repeat this around for round 3, just alternating, placing 1 half double crochet in one stitch, and then a half double crochet increase into the next stitch. So by the end of round 3, we should have 24 stitches. So I'll keep working on that, and then I will meet you back at the end of round 3. All right, so that is the end of round 3, and then we're just going to slip stitch to join to the first stitch of the round and chain 2. And then we will begin round 4. So for round 4, it's very similar to round 3. We're basically just going to be increasing a little bit less. So we're going to place 1 half double crochet into our first 2 stitches, and then we'll place 2 half double crochets or an increase into our 3rd stitch. So every 3rd stitch you will place a half double crochet increase, and an increase is 2 stitches instead of 1 into the same stitch. So we have 1, 2, and then an increase in our 3rd stitch. We just continue that around. So we should have 32 stitches at the end of round 4. So keep working that, pause the video, and then we'll come back for round 5. All right, so that's the end of round 4. slip stitch to join to our first round, chain 2, and then we're just following the same pattern. This time we're placing an increase in every 4th stitch. So we're going to place a half double crochet in the first 3 stitches, and then the 4th stitch, every 4th stitch will place an increase or 2 half double crochets. Three, and now I have my 4th stitch where I will place an increase. And we just repeat that all the way around. At the end of round 5, you should have 40 stitches. This is my 4th one. I'm doing an increase. So keep working round 5, and I will meet you for round 6. All right, I'm at the end of round 5. I have 40 stitches. I'm going to slip stitch to join to the first stitch of the round. Then we're going to chain 3 and turn. So now we're going to start working on the edges of our baskets. We're going to be building up now. So we just finished our base, and then we're going to build up from here. And we're going to start with our first granny stitch, or our cluster stitch. So we just chain 3. This chain 3 will count as our first double crochet. And then we're going to place 2 more double crochets into the back loop only of this first stitch. So double crochet, back loop only. So normally we would work through this whole V, and you want to find the back loop right here and just work into that. And we will do 2 double crochets. And now we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to skip over 3 stitches. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3. And we will place 3 double crochets into the back loop only of that 4th stitch from the hook. So we have 3 double crochets in each of our clusters, and they're separated by a chain 1. Chain 1. Then we're going to skip over the next 3 stitches and then work into the back loop only of this 4th stitch from our hook. Chain 1, and then just repeat that around. So 3, work into that 4th one, skip 3, work into the back loop only of that 4th stitch with 3 double crochets. So I'm gonna keep working this, and then I'll come back when we're at the end of the round. All right, so I just finished round 6 with my first round of working up the edges of the basket. And we're going to count how many clusters we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 clusters. And we should have 4 stitches left in our round, and we're just going to skip over all 4 of those stitches, and we're going to place our hook in our first starting chain 3 of the round, and we're going to slip stitch. But at this point, we're going to also do a color change. So instead of slip stitching with my green yarn, I'm going to get my next color ready. So I'll be using pink next. And I'm just going to set this up the same way that I did with the green. So I'm going to make this Z shape so that I get that triple stranded look. So I just made the Z shape. Here's my tail. And then just pinch it together here. And then all I'm going to do is place this strand over my hook like this with my tail over here and my working end over here. And then I'm going to use my hook and pull it through the chain 3 that we just went into, and then I'm going to pull it through the loop that's on my hook, just like that. And then if you want, you can kind of pull these tails a little bit more if you want them to be longer. And then you can also pull on the green to tighten that a little bit for right now. And now we have our pink strand that we're working with. So same process as before. Once you start to run out of this loop, just pull your working yarn through it to make it longer. So now that I'm starting round 7 with my color change, I'm going to chain 3. And then we're going to work into this chain space right behind us. So we're going to place 2 double crochets into this chain space here. So that chain 3 does count as a stitch, and then we're placing 2 more in that chain space to create our cluster, and then we chain 1. And if you want, at this point, you can tie a knot between these 2 tails. We will be picking up this green later, but you can just tie it if that makes you feel better about, you know, kind of keeping it secure. All right, so we just chained 1, and then we're going to place 3 double crochet into our chain space from round 6. Oh, I need more yarn. Let me just pull this through real quick. Right, okay, so 2 more in this chain space. And then chain 1. And then just continue this all the way around until we reach our first cluster of pink yarn. Chain 1, then 3 double crochet. So just keep doing this until the end of round 7, and then I will come back. All right, I just finished round 7 with my pink color, and again I have 10 of these clusters going around, so it's the same as the green. We had 10 green clusters, and now we have 10 pink clusters, so we're not increasing or decreasing. We're just working this edge going straight up away from the base. So now I want to change colors again, and I'm going to get my yellow this time, and once again just do that Z shape, get my strand like this, and then place it on my hook. So we're going to once again slip stitch into that chain 3 from the beginning of our round, place this new strand on my hook like this and pull it through, and then pull it through the loop that's on my hook. And then we are going to chain 3. And then we can tie these together if that helps make you feel like they'll be more secure as we're working. So just tie those, and then we have our chain 3, and then we just repeat row 7 until we have our desired height for our basket. So again, we have our chain 3, and then we're going to work 2 double crochets into this previous chain space. And then chain 1, and then work 3 double crochet. Oh, something got messed up there. All right, work 3 double crochet into our next chain space. Chain 1. And then just continue that all the way around until we reach the end of the round. So we should have, once again, 10 clusters of our yellow by the end of this round 8. So keep working on that, and then I will meet you at the end of round 8. All right, we're now at the end of round 8. I just finished up with my yellow color, and now I want to go back to my green color. And the nice thing about that is we already have our 3 strands set up here. All we need to do is place our hook in this chain 3 and get ready to slip stitch, and then we can just carry this green up and pull it over our hook and pull it through the loop that's on our hook, just like that. So now you can see that we've carried that green strand of yarn up on the inside of the basket. Chain 3, and then do 2 double crochet in this previous chain space, and we just keep repeating all of those steps. Chain 1, and then work 3 double crochets into each chain space around. We'll still have 10 clusters at the end of round 9. All right, I just finished round 10, and now we are going to start working on the top border. So I'm just going to slip stitch and pull up my yellow color, or if you want to use a different color for this, feel free. Then we're going to chain 1, and then we're just going to single crochet into each stitch and each chain space around. So single crochet all the way around, just like this. Each stitch and each chain space. So the 3 stitches of our cluster and then the chain space. So I'll just keep doing this, and then I will come back at the end of round 11. All right, it's the end of round 11. I'm just going to work into my last chain space. we should have 39 stitches at the end of this round. And then we will slip stitch to join to the first stitch of our round and chain 1. Now for round 12, we're going to be making the basket handles and just kind of finishing off the border. So we should have 10 clusters, and we want there to be 4 clusters in between each of our handles. So we're going to slip stitch in every stitch going up until this 3rd cluster that's from our hook. So just slip stitch. All right, so that was our first 7 stitches, and then we're just going to place 1 more slip stitch into this 8th stitch here, and then we're going to chain 9, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we're going to skip over the next 3 stitches and then slip stitch into this 4th stitch that's on the other side of this cluster here. Okay, so now we have our little handle, and then continue slip stitching around. So now we want to skip over 4 of these clusters until we make the next handle. You could count the stitches in between, but I find it easier to just think of it in terms of the clusters and how many you want to skip over. So let's see, so we just did that. We just skipped over 3 clusters. So we have 1 left to skip over, and let's just double check that that makes sense here. If I were to fold my basket in half, this would be our 5th one that we would work our next handle in, and that does make sense. All right, slip stitch into this first one for this cluster here. And then again, like we did on the other side, we're going to chain 9. And then slip stitch into the 4th stitch from our hook. And then just continue slip stitching around until we get to the beginning of our round. All right, I'm at the beginning of the round. Just going to do my last slip stitch, and then we want to slip stitch into that first slip stitch of the round to join. And then we will fasten off and weave in all of our ends. And then we're all done. So that's it. That's how to crochet these granny plant baskets. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more crochet tutorials. Thank you.